All right, good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call my 3 o'clock matter, and this is in the matter of J. Harris Industrial Water Treatment Incorporated versus Integrity Water Solutions LLC. This case number is TJ 2026-00159. Let's go ahead and get appearances, please, begin with counsel for the plaintiff/judgment creditor.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. John Parker, appearing on behalf of J. Harris Industrial Water Treatment.
Good afternoon. Mr. Sloan, I believe since you hastily turned off your video camera, I think you might be here for the 310. Is that correct? We'll take your silent spot as a no. So, do we have anyone else appearing in the 3 o'clock J. Harris Industrial Water versus Integrity Water Solutions matter?
No, we don't, Your Honor. My process server is reporting we may have the witness avoiding service. I'm going to ask for a couple of things. I'm going to ask for a continuance of this matter out to around the end of September. And I'm going to ask also permission to submit a motion for alternative service. Again, recognizing that if we do serve in an alternative nail and mail situation, that the court may not have the authority to enter a civil arrest warrant for non-appearance, but at least will give us an opportunity to provide notice in the event that the person wants to show up, I guess.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take your oral motion to continue first, and then we'll talk about the you're fixing to file a written motion, it sounds like. So, Miguel, what do we have in about towards the end of September to allow Mr. Parker to work on what he needs to work upon?
We can schedule it on September the 23rd at 9:10.
9:23 at 9:10. Does that work for you, Mr. Parker, or no?
I have another matter scheduled at 9, and I'm not sure if it's with you or another commissioner. So to be on the safe side, I should probably give it another date there.
Yeah, I don't want you to be double booked. So,
but that following week, I'm totally clear.
All right. Miguel, what do we have that following week?
All right. We can do September 29th, which is a Tuesday, at 9:30.
That works. Thank you.
Perfect. So the court's going to grant counsel's oral motion to continue today's judgment debtor exam, resetting same to September 29 at 9:30 a.m. for this division virtual. And counsel, so you've had the misfortune of appearing before me a number of times now, especially in these judgment debtor exams. So I will be happy to review any written motion that you want to file about alternate service. I'd prefer to do that versus grant an oral motion. That way I can make sure that the Court of Appeal seems like they're kind of cracking down on making sure that service is truly impracticable before granting mail and mail alternate service under 4.1K, I think it is, or L. So I'll take a look at your written motion. Okay, sir?
Oh, certainly, yes. I didn't mean to imply that I would be making a verbal motion on it.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. The extra time will give the court enough time to consider a written motion. And
Perfect.
If it's granted, then we'll serve in that manner. So thank you.
You're welcome. And as always, we'll cross any bridge that we come to it, whether the person or target appears or not. I'll make the appropriate rulings based upon that. But well, thank you, Mr. Parker, for being here. Anything else we got to talk about today?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're very welcome. If there's nothing else, this matter is adjourned. Have a happy Friday. Have a happy and safe weekend. Okay.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
right, good afternoon, everyone. It's now 3:10, so let's go ahead and call number 22 on my court calendar, which is in the matter of Scott Seidener versus Maybot Enterprises LLC. This case number is CV2023-003156. Let's go ahead and get appearances. Please begin with counsel for the plaintiff/judgment creditor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Malcolm Sloan on behalf of Mr. Seidner today.
Good afternoon. And to whom else do we have joining us here today?
Hi, Carla and Ken Mabbitt with Mabbitt Enterprises.
All right. Good afternoon, Miss Carla Mabbitt, and Mr. Mabbitt. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself by saying your name, please, sir?
My name is Ken Mabbitt.
All right. Good afternoon to both of you. Well, Mr. and Miss Mabbitt, before we proceed further, I'm gonna ask that you guys raise your right hand because my clerk's gonna swear both of you in. Okay.
You and each of you do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. You guys can put your arms down. It's way too hot to be doing calisthenics here today. So this is the time set for a judgment debtor exam, and I see that there were some filings from you, Mr. Sloan, from a couple of days ago, and then Miguel, my judicial assistant, came in just a few moments ago with an email that looks like you, Miss Mabbitt, sent to both Mr. Sloan and to us, dated like 3 o'clock, so not like 11 minutes ago. So what's going on, guys?
I'm sorry for the late submittal on that. I just saw Mr. Sloan's email right when we were getting ready for this hearing. So I thought I would just respond quickly if they were able to make it to you in time, just with kind of some information that might be helpful.
Well, Mr. Sloan, this is this is the party's judgment debtor exam, but did you get the email that Miss is it Maybat or Maybit? Right.
Mabbitt.
Mabbitt. Well, I'm well off. Okay. Mr. Sloan, did you get the Mabbitt's email, and what's the plan?
I did, Your Honor. About 12 minutes ago, as you indicated, it was copied to me at the same time it was sent to your judicial assistant, Miguel. I think I kind of laid out where we're at here in my notice of non-compliance, Your Honor. The JDE order in this matter, outlined there were 18 categories, different categories of documents. The response I got from Ms. Mabbitt last Friday, and I did for the record note that this was a subpoena or a judgment debtor exam order to produce documents that was served on the custodian of records for Mabbitt Enterprises LLC, which is the only remaining judgment debtor in this matter. And Miss Carla Mabbitt, as I understand it, is still the statutory agent, and I believe both Miss Mabbitt and her husband, Kenneth Mabbitt, are managers of the LLC. The response I got from Miss Mabbitt to the JDE order, Exhibit A specifically is what I'm referring to, Your Honor. I believe it's Exhibit 4 to my notice of apparent noncompliance. Arguably only responds to one category, and that is, I believe, category number 2, category number 3, which requested some bank statements. And as I indicated in my notice, Ms. Mabbitt, in an accompanying email, said, "This is what I have because Mabbitt Enterprises LLC hasn't done business since 2022. I find it hard to believe, Your Honor, that there aren't more documents that are responsive to the judgment debtor examination order. Now, as I indicated in my notice, the order did only go back 2 or 3 years from the date of the order. So that gets us to about 2023. So I realize, given Mrs. Mabbitt's statement about 2022, there could be some wiggle room there. But the idea here is, as I indicated, what resulted in this judgment had to do with matters that arose out of 2022 and a lawsuit that was filed in 2023. I would think that perhaps there'd be 2022 tax returns and the like. But putting that aside, the one that is most interesting to me, or the category of documents I'm most interested in, is category 18, as I indicated in the notice. It asks for any and all documents that evidence any transfer of assets from Mabit Enterprises LLC to any third party beginning January 1st, 2023 through May 1st, 2026. Nothing was presented in response to that. So I guess I have a couple of things. As I said, even though my document request arguably only goes back to 2023, I have a difficult time thinking that there isn't anything related to the other 17 categories in terms of documentation that isn't available. And to the extent this court would side with the fact that perhaps my order as submitted, now given Ms. Mabbitt's, albeit unverified to this point, information that the company ceased business in 2022, I would ask for the order in its entirety to be amended to go back one more year to January 21st of 2022, where there arguably would be tax returns and more bank statements and other documentations, especially documents that are responsive to request number 18. And as I indicated in the notice, while I understand what Ms. Mabbitt has said in her email about ceasing business, certainly the company hasn't been wound down. It's still showing as an active corporation at the Arizona Corporation Commission, and they filed a statement of change of some sort. I believe it was probably just the matter of an address change back in just a little over a month ago. I think it was a month ago yesterday. So I don't know why we're doing that in the summer of 2026, when we're talking about a business that allegedly hasn't done anything since 2022. And finally, Your Honor, I'll note for the record, another reason to perhaps fashion an amended order here is contained in what Ms. Mabbitt just sent to both of us. As I look at this document, this attachment, which was one of the attachments, which appears to be some correspondence between Ms. Mabbitt and her CPA, I note down in an email dated December 3rd, 2024, as part of this string, it's about 2/3 of the way down the page. The CPA says, we've always reported Mabbitt Enterprises as a sole proprietorship business on Schedule C of your personal income tax returns. Your Honor, that's what I'm trying to find out. Mabbitt, all of a sudden, Mabbitt's in business one minute and they're out of business the next. I'm trying to find out what happened to all the money that Mabbitt Enterprises Inc. may or may not have been making before they just simply decided, apparently, to shut down operations at some point during 2022. Well, it seems now that if I want to see what Mabbitt Enterprises was doing, they perhaps didn't have tax returns to be produced no matter what the order said. It's the Mabbitt's personal returns that are going to give me some information as to what Mabbitt Enterprises was doing. And so
this is about Mabbitt Enterprises, correct?
Well, and let me jump in there. I do see that email, and to you, Mr. and Ms. Mabbitt, the email from this Rachel Hutzler that you provided to both my assistant and to Mr. Sloan, Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. Hi, Carla. And then it says, we have always reported Mabbitt as a sole proprietorship. The second paragraph was, there was no business activity / reporting for the Mabbitt Enterprises in 2023. In 2022, the business reported income on Schedule C of your Form 1040, and that's to you, Ms. Carla Mabbitt. You could provide, and then the senior tax manager, Ms. Hutzler, later quotes, you could provide the Schedule C from that year as a profit and loss summary of the business activity for 2022. Mr. Sloan was saying that, his order did go from January 1, 2023, and he's now asking to go back a year. Would you be willing to provide that Schedule C of your Form 1040 to Mr. Sloan?
So this, I believe, was provided to Mr. Sloan when he got involved in this lawsuit, because he was asking for personal documents a couple of years ago, and our counsel had provided him the Schedule C a couple of years ago, and as far as I remember. We can provide him that Schedule C again if that's what he would like, but that wasn't requested in the documents that we received, so that's why it wasn't included. And like I said, it was provided to him prior also. And in response to some of Mr. Sloan's comments, the reason that I updated the address with the Business Commission is because every time that he has served us paperwork, we've never received it. So I wanted to make sure that there was no reason that we couldn't receive paperwork if somebody is trying to serve something. So that was the reason the business address was requested, or the business update was requested. And as far as not closing out the business license, we are not able to do that with an open judgment. That's why the business license is still open. So we have not done business since 2022, since all of this has gone on. So I don't have any other documents to produce, unfortunately. I've produced everything that is related to the business, just because, I mean, prior to this sale to Mr. Seidner, we had done one other house flip. So I think that Mr. Sloan and Mr. Seidner think we are a lot bigger business than we are. I mean, we flipped 2 houses. So unfortunately, there's not any of these documents that they're requesting. So I'm not sure, I can't produce something that doesn't exist.
We produced everything that we can, which is the bank statements. And then we have the other thing that we sent was showing the bank opening and the bank closing the account. It was inactive for so long that the bank itself closed the credit cards.
Is that the item that you emailed to my assistant and to Mr. Sloan with that order confirmation, or I don't know what, or is that something else?
Yes, sir. I had to request that document from Chase Bank to show that the account was closed and when it was closed. So that's why I provided that, just showing that the reason there's only limited bank statements produced is because the bank account was closed in August of 2025. So I just wanted to show that, you know, that's the reason they weren't produced.
Okay, well, I mean, I do show that looks like something was closed. Again, I'm not entirely sure what. Chase account closed, letter $0. Estimated completion date, August 5th, 2026. Again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at here. Hence my question.
It's just a statement from the bank showing the Mabit Enterprise checking account. It's what we attached. It's just a statement.
That's not included in any of the emails that I've got. I think I may have the request to get that letter, but I don't have the letter itself.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I attached the wrong document. I can send that over right now. The close date was 9/19/2025. The open date was 11/27/2020. And it shows our checking account with the account number, last 4 digits of 3915. And I can send that over right now.
And it's the Mabit LLC checking account.
Well, I mean,
Sorry, it took a while for the bank to be able to produce that document for me, so.
Well, I guess, well, I definitely appreciate this conversation, because I would like, you know, to get everyone to, you know, wrap up all of this matter for everyone involved, but I'm not entirely sure what I can do at this point. Mr. Sloan, you said that you may be asking for something, but I'm not. What was your? Did you have a request? Or
I
guess I should have been taking better notes.
No, it's okay, Your Honor. Let me see if I can sum it up here, and I'm just be very candid with the court here as to what I'm trying to do. We're talking about a going concern here that ultimately got involved in litigation with Mr. Seidner, the resolution of which was a significant judgment entered first against Mr. and Mrs. Mabit, as well as Mabit Enterprises LLC. Ms. Mabit correctly informs the court that the personal side of the judgment has in fact been against both Mr. and Mrs. Mabit, has been satisfied and resolved in full. That still leaves a judgment north of $40,000 as we sit here today regarding Mabit Enterprises. One moment it's working and it's in existence, And then the next moment, not surprisingly, probably after the judgment was entered, it is not. And so, you know, irrespective of what Ms. Mabbitt may be saying today, I don't know what you know, is this just, did we just throw the shell away and go and start a new shell? I mean, I'm trying to follow the money and find out what happened to Mabbitt Enterprises LLC such that it just immediately ceased operations. I think we've got, you know, proof that, I mean, even Ms. Mabbitt says today, this Chase bank account wasn't closed until, I believe she said, correct me if I'm wrong, sometime in 2025. Well, if you stop doing business in 2022, why is there a bank account around for 3 more years? Why
Because
are
our
you?
counsel told us not to close it until this was completely resolved.
Which we left it open and
Okay.
no,
But-
and
Well, and this, Mr. and Ms. Babbitt, did you provide those bank records? Because if account is open, even if there's no activity, it will still show,
yeah,
you
we
know, no
provided the bank
activity or whatever
records.
activity may have been. Have you provided that to Mr.
We
Sloan?
provided
They-
those bank
They
records.
sent me some stuff from 2024 and 2025. That is absolutely correct. But to get to your question, Your Honor, what my request was, I'll address that first. I would like, again, I'd like to know what Mabbitt Enterprises LLC was doing in the year leading up to its apparent, rather abrupt, dissolution without a formal dissolution, if you will.
So
I mean,
this
I'm
was
taking
prior
this-
to the lawsuit that you're asking for, so I don't feel that that information is relevant to this.
And Mr. Seidner started threatening lawsuits prior to that. So we have not, that his house was the last business we did.
Well, let's let Mr. Sloan make his request first, and then I'll hear
Okay, I'm
from-
sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Again, Your Honor, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. At one moment, it's Mabbitt Enterprises LLC is a going concern. A litigation happened, a substantial judgment's entered, then all of a sudden it's not. And so I think the court's well aware that if that happens, if the business goes out of business a certain way, then it's all is well and good. But if the business just ceases to exist because we're moving things from one entity to another because we've got this judgment we don't want to pay, then that is potentially a different kettle of fish, as it were. All I'm trying to do is figure out where the Mabbitt Enterprises LLC money went in the time prior to its apparent cessation, I'll say, of business operations, which is some undefined time in 2022, according to Ms. Mabbitt. So I'm interested in whatever documents there are, whether they're bank statements or tax returns, that are going to show me where Mabbitt Enterprise LLC money was going prior to its dissolution. So whatever time period that we can do that's going to give me that is what I'd like to do. Now, with respect to Ms. Mabbitt saying earlier, and this is my last thing, Your Honor, that she provided me with, or her former counsel had provided me with some information before today, that was, as Ms. Mabbitt said a couple of years ago, I don't see it in my imaging system here. I'm willing to certainly go back and take a look to see if such documents were provided. But I would be very interested to see a Schedule C for both 2021 and 2022 of Mr. and Mrs. Mabbitt relating to Mabbitt Enterprises, because if those schedules show that Mabbitt Enterprises LLC is doing well, and then all of a sudden the judgment's entered, then Mabbitt Enterprises just goes away, disappears, well, you know, that raises questions in my mind, and I think I think I'm entitled to, as a component of judgment collection investigation, to try and make a determination as to the reasons for the cessation of business and where any assets of that business may have been transferred to, and whether or not they were transferred in an appropriate way.
Well, Mr. Sloan, we also don't want to overburden people with unduly records requests. And I have pulled up the file. The complaint in this matter was filed February 28th of 2023, beginning with factual background on or about, I'm reading paragraph 7 of the complaint. On or about January 7th, 2022, plaintiff entered into a standard Arizona residential real estate purchase contract for purchase of the property from defendant Mabit Enterprises. So going back to 2021 may be a bridge too far is what I'm trying to spit out, Mr. Sloan.
Well, I don't know that it would be for purposes of any documentation, relating to a Schedule C for 2021 of the Mabbits. I mean, I believe the company was formed in 2020. So it had a couple of, apparently, if taking Miss Mabit at her word, from 2020 until 2022, it was arguably in business. That would mean that there would be a potential Schedule C for 2020, a potential Schedule C for 2021, and a potential Schedule C for 2022. I don't know that it would be that onerous of them to produce the Schedule Cs for those 3 years to simply show what kind of income they had from Mabit Enterprises.
Yeah, but the cause of action began in January in tax year 2022. So going back that far, at this point, this is collections. So I understand that your client wants the satisfaction of the outstanding judgment, but at the end of the day, like what would the tax document show for something that's almost 6 years old now? That we're even not relevant to the cause of action.
It would show me whether or not Mabit Enterprises, it would show me the level at which Mabit Enterprises LLC was compensating Mr. and Mrs. Mabit. Transitioning away from the tax returns, though, Your Honor, again, any transfer of assets, I would think, of Mabit Enterprises LLC that potentially occurred during the pendency of the lawsuit, or even before then, if they knew the lawsuit was coming, would be relevant documents for my client to be able to obtain to ascertain whether or not those asset transfers were done properly, or were they done to avoid a potential judgment.
Well, the lawsuit was filed February of 2023, and the facts began to arise on January 7th of 2022. So I recognize that Arizona has wide open discovery, but I think there's even a limit that wide open discovery may be turning into a bit of a fishing expedition, Mr. Sloan, respectfully.
Well, I don't think it's a fishing. I thank you, Your Honor. I understand where you're coming from. And again, I'm being as transparent as I can. But we have a going concern that is operating 1 minute, and then the second there's a judgment, it's not. Now, granted, that judgment was entered a little over 2 years ago. I do believe that my client is entitled to reasonably pursue information from Mabit Enterprises LLC that would allow me to assess what, if any, disposition of assets it did, either just prior to the litigation or during the pendency of the litigation, whether there were such a disposition of assets, and if so, how were they disposed of? Did they get fair consideration for them? Things along those lines.
And I agree with everything you're saying, because the litigation began in 2023, and the facts that the impetus for the lawsuit began January 6th of 2022. So going back to 2020, 2021, that may be a little bit too far in my mind. But so let's just talk logistics, Mr. Sloan. What are you asking? What are you going to file a new motion seeking these records, or what are you asking me to do at this point? This is all. I mean, this is a great legal issue that I'm really enjoying, because I'm just a giant nerd. But I guess logistically, what does this mean for all of us, though?
Well, what I'm asking, Your Honor, is to amend the judgment debtor examination Exhibit A order, specifically paragraph 18 of that order, that specifically deals with any transfer of assets from Mabit Enterprises LLC to literally any other third party. I believe its current time frame is beginning January 1st of 2023 through May 1st of 2026. I would simply ask that the court amend that to, why don't we just say March 1st of 2022 through the end of 2023.
So is it fair to say that prior to the lawsuit, anything that happened prior to your client filing a lawsuit, in my mind, doesn't seem relevant? And maybe I'm wrong in that, but we're more than welcome to try to produce more documentation that you need. But I don't know what else to provide to you that would be relevant.
Yeah, the lawsuit was in 2023. We provided all of the bank records. We provided, there isn't other documents to produce because they don't exist. It's an extensive lawsuit. The LLC didn't own cars and assets and other bank accounts. It was one simple bank account, and that was it.
And unfortunately, any money that was in that bank account got eaten up by lawyers' fees during this transaction.
And the other reason we kept it open, like she said, and the bank records will reflect that, is our previous counsel said to not close it, we have record of it. And then the only transactions you'll see is us covering monthly service fees that made it go overdrawn every month.
I see. Well, Your Honor,
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking logistically, it'd be really messy if I were to issue an oral order about these documents.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of worried that would, anything I would probably stumble out would most likely get lost in translation. So I think it would be cleaner if the parties are seeking, one party or the other are seeking I guess an amended order, it would just be cleaner and easier for all parties involved, me, the Mabbits, you, to lodge a new order, and I'm not, and go from there, okay? Because that way, if I stumble or miss something, or if I'm, I mean, let's just be realistic. It's Friday at 3:37. I don't want something to get lost in translation, and I don't. So that's my concern.
Your Honor, if I may, thank you for that. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it. I too don't want anything lost in translation. I'm going to reflect upon what you've said and what the Mabbits have represented under oath today regarding Mabbit Enterprises LLC. It may well be that I will submit something that's much more limited in scope, so that may address some very specific concerns I have, and just have the Mabbits respond to it. Or it may well be that I will forego any further documentation, at least from the Mabbits directly, relying upon their sworn representations today regarding the status of Mabbit Enterprises LLC since 2022. So what I'm thinking, Your Honor, is that we can consider these proceedings closed today as to this hearing. This is a continued hearing, and that to address your concern, should I want to have another hearing with the Mabbits relating to other documents, either from them directly or from potentially third parties, then I will just submit another order for the court, and petition an order for the court's review and signature, and we'll do it that way. It seems to me that would be much cleaner.
I think it would be much cleaner. And again, I am worried about, again, as I said earlier, to use a terrible turn of phrase, getting things get lost in translation. Because misunderstandings can breed frustration, and I don't want anyone frustrated. I want to get everyone wrapped up, because no one wants to appear before me on a Friday at 3:30. I recognize that.
Can I
Only-
ask a question to
Only if
clarify?
the Cardinals are playing, Judge, because that way I know I'm keeping you from watching them.
Oh, you know what? Now you up and done it, Mr. Sloan. No. Ms. Mabbott, what was your question?
Any documents that are requested further, they would only be pertaining to Mabbott Enterprises, being that this judgment is against Mabbott Enterprises and not us personally, correct?
Well, I can't predict the future, and if so, I don't want to. I just don't know the answer to that question, and even if I did, I'd be kind of potentially treading on giving legal advice, which I can't do. And I used to be a lawyer. I mean, I guess I still have my bar license, but when they gave me the black robe, they told me I can't give such legal advice. Okay.
No, I get that and I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, is anyone going to be heartbroken if we adjourn today's hearing and not schedule anything, and then we'll see what the future may bring about this matter?
Yeah, like I said, I'd like to reflect. I'd like to visit with my client. And to the extent that there will be anything further from a judgment execution standpoint, I will take your honor's advice and submit something for the court's review and consideration in terms of an order, whether it be related directly to Mr. and Mrs. or the Mabbott Enterprises LLC or a third party, and have you review and act on it as appropriate.
Okay. And it wasn't advice. It was a suggestion just to make sure that we do things cleanly as possible. So again, I don't want to say I'm not giving legal advice to Miss Mabbott while saying, oh yeah, Mr. Sloan, this is how you need to handle your case. That's
No. It's the smart way to go, Your Honor. It's the smart way to go.
Well, I don't know about the smart way, but it's the way that I would prefer because it makes my life a little bit easier, and hopefully it makes everyone else's life easier about knowing what everyone's duties and responsibilities are.
And who said what and everything else. Yep, I get
Exactly.
it. Yep.
And that address is updated on the Arizona Commission. So if there is anything further, that is our correct address that's on there.
I did note that, Ms. Mabbott. Thank
Okay,
you very
thank
much.
you.
I'll make sure to use that in the future.
Thank you.
Well, does anyone have anything else they want to bring to my attention? Any other interesting legal issues before we adjourn?
Not from Mr. Seidner, Your Honor. Not today, anyway.
All right. And I'm hearing seeing some head shakes from the Mabbott.
No, yeah, nothing from
from
us.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm certainly not gonna keep you guys. Interesting conversation. Thank you. But this matter is adjourned, and well, have a happy and safe Friday and weekend, everyone. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds
You
good.
too,
Go
Jeff.
Rockies.
Thank you.
Bye, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
you.